2005, book comes out. It's called Afflicted Powers. Afflicted Powers.
Afflicted Powers.
Book published by Verso. And it came out of a few decades that Iain just described, of work that is truly exceptional. When I moved to the Bay Area, and I moved from Yugoslavia, from former Yugoslavia, one of the, and actually maybe one of the reasons why I decided to stay in the Bay Area was definitely Retort Collective and ideas that were contained in the book Afflicted Powers. The book was basically about the politics after September 11th, about oil, or no blood for oil. Do you remember No Blood for Oil? Very extremely popular slogan. About modernity in Islam, about terror, about different kind of vanguardism. But more than anything else, it was about this double, how can we call this, perplexity of presence. On one hand, we had this return to the past, extremely brutal return to the past. Like in the old days of the Berlin Congress, of the Kabak of the Balkans, or Scramble for Africa. We have new rounds of enclosures, we have new rounds of empire, something that Retort called military neoliberalism. At the same time, this was very new, because for the first time, the empire, United States, or the imperial, or however we want to call it, this new imperial formation, had to compete, not only fight, but to actually compete in the world of image, in the world of spectacle. And the victory in this very unusual war actually depended on the victory in the world and realm of the spectacle. And that was very unusual. So on one hand, we had radical novelty of the situation, and we had this also very radical, atavistic almost, return to the past. And Retort Collective, building on situationist analysis. You're familiar with the situationists? On autonomous Marxism, a very libertarian in a good sense, European sense, libertarian strand of Marxism. Then on many good elements inside of the anarchist tradition. Retort delivered what for me was, at that time, probably the most important intervention in thinking about politics after September 11th. And I don't know if the book is being sold.
I don't know.
But you will find it on Amazon. And as a book, it was really important. Because I'm coming myself from a different kind of study, different kind of thinking about social movements, I was also interested in another moment that was not included in the book. That was the moment of global coloniality. If we talk about the spectacle, if we talk about fantasy, if we talk about the image, politics, or shall I say statecraft, was always dependent, state politics, was always dependent on fantasy, on image, on spectacle. We can go back and read Spinoza. We can read Jean Delimont, beautiful French historian who wrote a book, I'm not sure if it's translated into English, about fear in the West. We can read ancient dramas, and we can find a famous sentence from one of them, where Athena says that fear of citizens is what makes the wall of the country strong. This definition, this idea of politics, state politics, as the strength of your country's wall, and politics as economy and organization and management of fear, is something that has been characteristic of politics from above, state politics, which is very different from the politics of the common, or the politics of the commoners. There is another thing. We can speak about the wall, and today there is a wall. There is a double fantasy going on. We have an enemy, we have a homeland for most of the Western societies. There is a homeland, there is an enemy. Enemy comes in the form of a refugee, of a migrant, or of a terrorist, right? Very unusually, dialectically even, you have a situation where the fantasy of a homeland is being constructed by construction of these enemies. And this is a wall that's not new. This is a wall that goes back to the colonial period. This wall was built in 15th century with the so-called invention of the Americas, with the conquest of the Americas, with the beginning of colonialism. For me, the only proper way of thinking about these walls, and I would like to speak about these walls, is if we think about them as walls of global capitalist modernity. Military neoliberalism, which is one of the key concepts in afflicted powers, signifies this relationship between economy and violence. If you think about contemporary imperial globality, one thing that you will see is that there is an organic link between organization of violence, global management of violence, and global management of economy. They're inseparable. If you look and if you think about the wars in Iraq, or the wars after 2003, you will notice this everywhere. The former colonial territories, places, for example, where I come from, the Balkans.
Could you speak up?
I have problems speaking up because my throat is actually...
Could you maybe stand up?
I will give my best. But you will have to forgive me because my throat is in bad shape. So, oh, can you come closer?
Thank you.
Thank you. So,